All right, solve the equation x squared minus 3x minus 10 is 0. So for a, we can factor because negative 5 times positive 2 is negative 10, and negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. So we have x is 5 or x is negative 2 for a. For b, I have already factored that. That's x minus 5, x plus 2. And if we want to solve the inequality, we have zeros, x-intercepts at 5 and negative 2. It is a positive 1, a, so that means it opens up. So if we want when it's greater than 0, that's here. So x less than or equal to negative 2, because it can be equal to 0, or we have x greater than or equal to 5. For 16, we can factor this as well, probably. We need to multiply to negative 2x squared, so that's going to be negative 2x and x. And then we need to multiply to 3, so that can be a 3 and a 1 here. So because it's a positive 3, they both need to be the same sign, so it's either positive and positive. So in this case, it'd be negative 6 and 1, which is negative 5. So that's not going to work because we need a positive 5. It could also be, to multiply to a positive 3, negative and negative. So in this case, it's positive 6 minus 1. So that's actually what we need. And you could FOIL distribute the whole thing out to make sure that it works. Okay, so this is, we want to find when it's equal to 0. So that's going to be at positive 3, and we will have negative 1/2. So if we, so in this case, it opens downward because that's a negative a. So it's greater than 0 between negative 1/2, greater than or equal to, between negative 1/2 and 3. All right, for 17a, if we want to factor that, it's going to be x times x minus 25. We'll deal with the greater than in a second. So that's going to be zeros at 0 and positive 25. And it opens up because it's a positive a. And if we want it greater than 0, that's before 0 or equal, or after greater than 25. For b, if we want to factor that one, that's a difference of squares, so it's x plus 5, x minus 5. And then that means we have zeros at 5 and negative 5. It opens up as well. And if we want it greater than 0, it's before negative 5 or after positive 5. So with 18, we can factor out a 2 first, 2x, actually negative 2, and then we're going to have x minus 9 here, and then that means we have zeros at 0 and 9. It opens downward because of negative 2 is your a, and if we want it greater than 0, that's in between 0 and 9. For b, if I factor out a negative 2, that's going to be x squared minus 9 on the inside, and then this factors to x plus 3, x minus 3. Difference of squares, so we have zeros at negative 3 and positive 3, and it opens down. And if we want it greater than 0, that's in between negative 3 and positive 3. For 19, the following diagrams show graphs of quadratics in that form. Complete the tables next to the graph to show whether the expression is positive, negative, or 0. So in this case, A is opening upward, so it's positive. C is the y-intercept here, so that's also positive. The b squared minus 4ac is the discriminant. It shows how many x-intercepts there are. There aren't any, so that means it's less than 0. Negative b over 2a is the axis of symmetry, which is clearly on the negative x-axis side. So that's going to be negative. And if we wanted to find out what b is, we know negative b over 2a is going to equal a negative number. We also know a is a positive number. Okay, so 2 times a positive number is going to be a positive. And if we cross multiply by that positive, we're still going to have a negative over here. And if we divide by a negative, to get b equals a positive number. So for 20, the diagram represents the graph of this function. That's just mapping notation. We can write it like this as well. And this is x-intercept form. Write down the values of p and q. Well, p is going to be 1/2, and q, or negative 1/2, and q is 2, because when it would go into the function, it would look like x plus 1/2 and x minus 2. Function has a minimum value at c. Find the x-coordinate of c. So we would do the average, the middle of those two x's. So negative 1/2 plus 2 over 2. So that's going to be 1.5, 3/2, over 2, which is 3/4. That's the x-coordinate of c. So for 21, the following diagram shows part of the graph. F of x is that. Find both x-intercepts. So for a, we're going to have to factor. So x, 2, 1. We need a negative 2, positive 1 to multiply to negative 2 and add to the negative 1x in the middle. So that means the x-intercepts are negative 1 and positive 2. And find the x-coordinate of the vertex, so we have to find the middle of the x-intercepts. So that's going to be at 1/2. 22, the diagram shows this parabola. The point B is a max at, and the points A, C are x-intercepts. Find all the coordinates of A, B, C. Okay, so first of all, A is going to be negative 1, 0, because we would set that equal to 0. Same thing here. We would set this equal to 0 and we'd get 7, 0. Then we need to find the middle of those two. So 7 plus negative 1 over 2 is 3. So this is the x-coordinate 3. The axis of symmetry is x equals 3. And we just need to plug 3 back in to find the y-coordinate of the vertex. So that's 4 times 4, which is 16. So the coordinates are 3, 16. 23, the diagram shows part of the graph with equation y equals x squared plus px plus q. The graph cuts the x-axis at negative 2 and 3. Find the value of p and q. Okay, so yeah, we can just put it straight in here. There is no a, or it's 1. So we can just substitute in the x-intercepts into that x-intercept form and distribute it out. So that's going to be x squared minus 3x plus 2x minus 6. So p is negative 1, q is negative 6. Let f of x equal that. Part of the graph is shown. Find the x-intercept. So we can factor. So if we factor out a 2x, we're going to have 4 minus x. So that means x is 0. And we have x is 4. So now the equation of the axis of symmetry, we average those. So 0 plus 4 over 2, which is x equals 2. Don't forget, it's the equation. You need to write x equals 2. And double I, the y-coordinate of the vertex, is if we just substitute the x-coordinate of the vertex, the axis of symmetry, back into the function, into either version. 4 minus 2, so we're going to have 4 times 2, 8. So for 25, find the vertex. So what we can do is a couple of things. We can complete the square. So if I leave a space and I do half the middle term squared, that's going to be negative 3 squared, which is positive 9. That goes here. You can't just add 9. You have to subtract it. This factors into x minus 3 squared, square root of the first thing, that sign, square root of the last thing, plus 14 minus 9 is 5. So that means the vertex is 3, the opposite of that, and the same thing as that, 5. All right? The other thing you can do for A is find the axis of symmetry. So first, x equals negative b over 2a, so that's 3. And then you would just substitute that back in to find the 5, which we know it's going to be. So 9 minus 18 is negative 9 plus 14 is 5. So again, axis of symmetry, y-coordinate. And I've already done B with completing the square, but if you went this route, you could just take that and write it in that form, where h is the x-coordinate of the vertex and y is the k. All right. For 26, we've got to complete the square. So for A, we're going to factor out a 2, and we'll have x squared minus 4x plus 5 on the outside. And we're going to take half the middle term squared, which is negative 2 squared, 4. And we didn't just add 4, we added 8. So we have to subtract 8. So we'll have 2, and this factors to x minus 2 squared, and then 5 minus 8 is negative 3. You could have also done x equals, really you should be comfortable with completing the square, but until you are, you can always do the longer route with negative 8, negative b over 2a, so that's going to be 8 over 4, 2, and then substitute that back in to find what we know is going to be the, should be negative 3 plus 5. So that's going to be 4 times 2 is 8, minus 16, negative 8, plus 5 is negative 3. So then you could take A, which we know is 2, and then the x-coordinate of the vertex is positive 2, so it's opposite, negative minus 2, and then minus 3. Okay, the minimum value of f at x is, since this is a parabola with vertex 2, negative 3 rather, down here, and it opens up because of the positive 2, we know the minimum value is going to be y equals negative 3. All right, find the vertex of that. So I'll factor out, I'm just going to complete the square from now on because this is doing A and B. So we factor out the first 2, and then we leave that constant out there. We take half the middle term squared, so that's going to be plus 1/4. We didn't just add 1/4, we added 2/4 or 1/2, so we're going to subtract 1/2. This factors to x plus 1/2 squared, and then 2 minus 1/2 is 3/2. So the vertex is negative 1/2, 3/2. Find the vertex, so we will factor out the negative 1. That's going to be x squared plus x And we'll leave the minus 1 over there. Half the middle term squared. And we didn't add 1/4, we added negative 1/4, so we have to add 1/4. So if we factor this, it's x plus 1/2 squared, and that's minus 3/4. Okay, this is in x-intercept form, part of the graph shown. Graph passes through -2, 0, 4, 0, -4, 0. So find the values of Q. So Q can be -2, and R is going to be the 4, because those are the x-intercepts. And write down the equation of the axis of symmetry. So we average those, -2 plus 4 over 2, which is 1, and it looks like it, and find the value of P. So we can use, so first of all, we're going to use, this is our X and our Y, and of course this is P and Q. So for C, we're going to have Y equals what we're finding out, P. Oh, this is not P. This is, sorry, Q, and this is R. Okay, so -4 equals P. X is 0, and Q is -2, so we're going to have minus a -2, which is +2, and 0 minus R, which is 4. So this is going to become -4 equals -8P. And when we divide by -8, we get 1/2. So for 30, we've got this in vertex form. The vertex is, okay, so clearly H is 3, K is 1. The 0.59s on the graph show that A is 2. Okay, so we have 5, 9. So that's going to be our X, Y, and we've got H and K. So we're going to have 9 equals A, show, don't use 2. X is 5 minus H, which is 3 squared, plus K, which is 1. So A, that's 2 squared, 4, plus 1. Subtracting 1, dividing by 4, A is 2. For C, hence show the equation of the curve can be written like that. So we're going to have Y equals 2. So you have to use that A is 2. That's that hence bit. X minus 3 squared plus 1. And we need to distribute this all out. So Y is 2. That's going to be X squared minus 6X plus 9 plus 1. So 2x squared minus 12x plus 18 plus 1 is plus 19. For 31, we've got x-intercept form. Find the values of P and Q. Well, P is 1, Q is 5. For a double I, find the equation of the axis of symmetry. We add the x-intercepts, divide by 2. So x is 3 in equation. For B, find the equation of the function in that form. So if we have A is 1, they gave it to us. There's nothing here, so it's 1. X minus 5, X minus 1. And if we distribute that out, that's going to be X squared minus 6X plus 5. Oh, okay, we still have to do vertex form. Okay, that's standard form. So if we have x squared minus 6x, group those, and then plus 5. Half of -6 squared is going to be 9. So can't just add 9, subtract it. So this is going to factor to x minus 3 squared minus 4. Okay, so for 32, we've got it in vertex form. We've got the x-intercepts, and we've got the vertex is M2. Write down the value of M and P. So P is for sure 2, because that is the y coordinate of the vertex. And M is the x coordinate of the vertex. And if we've got the, we can find the axis of symmetry because we've got the x-intercepts. So P is 2 and M is 1 plus 5 over 2, which is 3. Now, if we find D, we can substitute. So if we have y equals d x minus 3 squared plus 2, and we can use one of those x-intercepts. So we would have 0 d 1 minus 3 squared plus 2. So 0 equals negative 2 squared is 4d plus 2. So subtract 2, divide by 4, d is negative 1/2. So we have x-intercept form. We've got the x-intercepts. P is negative 2. Q is 4. And for B, given, okay, so we're going to have 8 is y. A we're looking for. X is 6. And minus the negative 2 is plus 2. And again, 6 minus 4. So we'll have 8 equals 8 times 2, 16a. So a is 1/2. And it opens up, so that's accurate. So now write the equation that standard form. So we're going to have 1/2 x plus 2 x minus 4. And if we distribute it out, we'll have x squared minus 2x minus 8. And keep distributing 1/2 x squared minus x minus 4. Oops. And then for D, we will factor out the 1/2 out of the first two terms. So we're just dividing everything by 1/2. Or just the first two terms by 1/2. So 1/2 x squared divided by 1/2 is x squared. Negative 1 divided by 1/2 is negative 2. And then minus 4 on the outside. You can always distribute it out to make sure you get what you had. So that's 1/2 x squared, and that's negative 1x. So now we take half the middle term squared, which is negative 1 squared, 1. And then this factors to x minus 1 squared. Oops. And I didn't just add 1, I added 1/2, so I have to subtract 1/2. So that's going to be negative 4.5, negative 9/2. So we have this, the x-intercepts are that, and the y-intercept is that. Okay. So write down f of x in that form. So A, they kindly give us negative 10. So we'll have x plus 4, x minus 6, and find another expression. So we can, I'm going to kind of do C first. So we've got negative 10. This fact distributes out to x squared minus 2x minus 24, which is negative 10x squared plus 20x, and then plus 240. So then I'm going to, this is kind of C as well, factor out the negative 10 of the first two terms. So x squared minus 2x, and then plus 240. So now we take half the middle term. That's 2 squared, so that's plus 1. And that's minus 10, so we have to add 10. So that's going to be negative 10 x minus 1 squared plus 250.